Hi, and welcome back to Newbreed Film Reviews. We are on episode 31, and for this episode, this is a first time for us. We're going to be doing a director spotlight podcast. The director that we're going to be talking about on this episode is Quentin Tarantino, and I got Dave on the podcast with me.
What's up?
And I am Brian, if you haven't figured that out yet. So me and Dave, Paulie and Gil are not on this podcast with us, but me and Dave are really big Tarantino fans, and we're kind of just talking back and forth about kind of a cool episode to do. You know, we usually do categories, but we're thinking, hey, why don't we do like a spotlight video and talk about a certain actor or director? So we'll talk about one of the greats. You know, he's right up there in my book. You know, he doesn't have as much of a track record as like James Cameron or Spielberg or any of the other guys, but he's really up on the top of my list as favorite directors. What about you, Dave?
Yes. I was doing some research on him, dude. He actually got quite a bit of like accolades and stuff and awards, and he was like ranked as like one of the most influential directors of all time, you know. So he may not be like Spielberg and Cameron level like to the mass public, but I do think that I think he's up there as far as like a legendary director and filmmaker.
I think so too. And he's put out films that every single person knows, and everybody knows a part of any one of his films. And I think any filmmaker that's out there, they might make one film that you might really like, but you know, he has a ton, and he's got tons that are in the top 250 films or top 100 films when they do the IMDb countdown or movie countdown. You know, a couple of his films are ranked up there, so that just kind of shows you where he is.
Dude, Tarantino his films are probably some of the most quotable films in history. Like, there's people out there that they hate on his writing. I think his writing is genius, dude. Like, it's raw, it's gritty. We've talked about this on a podcast before, but he makes humor out of like the most ridiculous conversations. Like, you know, he can have two guys robbing a bank and they'll talk about like taking a dump and how hard you got to push. Like some ridiculous like mini conversation within another event going on, and he just makes it work. It's funny.
Yeah, like John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson talking about like a Big Mac, you know? They're driving along in the car in Pulp Fiction talking about a Big Mac, but you're like entertained, or Reservoir Dogs, they're talking about the song, know, Like a Virgin, Madonna, you know?
Or Steve Buscemi talking about tipping and how he doesn't tip, and or Django Unchained when they were complaining about the mass and the holes being uneven, the whole crowd of like dudes on horses. Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. Like,
he definitely has a talent.
He does, man. He's amazing, but it's not for everybody. It's right up my alley. Like, I love crazy movies like that.
Me too. He definitely goes over the top, gore-wise, when he has the chance.
He does.
He steps up his gore level.
Yeah, he does. It's interesting, dude. Like, I was like researching him, even though he's like one of my favorites. I don't know every aspect about Tarantino. Like, I knew stuff about him and just like appreciated his films, but I was doing some research and I was actually really surprised to see that he, you know, for being that he's been around for a long time, he doesn't have a stack of movies like that he made. It's like a handful, like maybe 10 or less that he actually made.
Yeah, it's only like he's in a lot of, you know, we can maybe talk about this in a little bit. He's been a producer or a writer or you know, a secondary director on a lot of films that you might know. But himself, writer director, I think it's about 8 films, and that's all he has.
Doing some research on him before the podcast. I saw he was a writer for one of my favorite films, True Romance, and that's not a surprise because it kind of has his style.
Yeah, the same kind of that dialogue that, you know, he hits.
Yeah.
So, like, I was looking, too, on a little bit of the background of him, and what's cool, I always knew this because if, you know, me being a wannabe director and I want to eventually make it to Sundance at some point, and Quentin Tarantino really got his start he went through the Sundance lab, and what he did was, usually when you go through the Sundance lab is you already have a film and you're ready to put it through production, and you go to Sundance and they help you out with a budget and they help you out with the different aspects of the film, and they walk you through and they grade the film for you. You have all these different people. You have musical compositions, you have directors, you have editors, people that you can pull from. And he went through the lab with Reservoir Dogs, and that hit Sundance Film Festival, and that was his critically acclaimed film that really jump-started, his career.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, my voice just cracked. For the people listening out there, I have a mild case of asthma and allergies. And it's funny, like my girlfriend, she listens to the podcast and she like gets at me. She's like, "You clear your throat too much or you cough." And I'm like, "Shut up." I'm like, I have asthma. Like, so she goes to the market and buys me some kind of special throat clearing tea. So at the moment I'm drinking this tea right now. So side note.
Side note, he is, for your listening pleasure, to remove the coughs, Dave is trying to take care of it with a special asthma tea.
Yes,
because he's too stubborn to use an inhaler.
And check this out. There's a movie called Bronx Tale, and for 2015, if you want to know if you have a keeper, like the Bronx Tale test is if you get in the door, if you let your girlfriend in the door of the car, and then she gets in, and if she unlocks the door, yep, she's a keeper. If you have a mild case of asthma and you're allergic to stuff, and your girlfriend or whatever
listens to your podcast, knows that you're coughing, and goes and gets you tea, she's a keeper.
Throat tea. If she gets you throat tea to stop coughing, marry her. You better put a ring on it, like Beyonce says. How does that song go? Shoulda, woulda, coulda, put a ring on it.
There you go.
Whatever. I hate her anyway.
There you go. That was Al Papo. Is that the right word? We just had a Quentin Tarantino conversation about tea. It was good.
Yes. All right, Bri, can I go like on a little mini rant of like what we were talking about before we got on, like right before?
Yeah, go ahead. Like I said, I wanted to kind of touch on where Quentin Tarantino came from, and then we'll go into like his films and our favorite films. And
yeah. So before we got on the podcast, like I said, I was doing a little research on him, and before we started recording, I was talking to Brian. I was like, man, you want to hear something cool? And I can relate to this, as Brian knows, because I like to write and stuff like that, and we've done short films. And I'm the same way with photography. Like, I don't like to follow rules, and I'm almost kind of against it. I think you should follow rules, like with photography and film, but at the same time, you should just make your own mark and blaze your own trail and just do what the hell you want to do. So I was reading up on Tarantino, and it's interesting because he kind of doesn't believe like in film school. Like if I remember like what I read, and if it was accurate, he actually started film school and he dropped out and he started working at a video rental store. Brilliant guy, genius. He started studying and paying attention of what movies went out the door the most and like, what style people liked. And that kind of, I guess, influenced his style and his writing. And there's a quote by him, and he says, "When people ask me if I went to film school, I tell them no, I went to films." So, he attributes his success to just going to see a bunch of movies. And I found that really interesting. What do you think about that, Bri?
I think that's so true, especially I didn't get to read the article. I saw on the news today that Robert De Niro gave a speech to New York NYC, and he said anybody that goes to film school is fucked. Because in the market nowadays, that's how you learn. I mean, to be honest, film school can teach you all the principles, but like Quentin Tarantino and so many others, the best thing you can do, and I've read tons of books about it, and I've watched tons of videos to try to teach myself, and they say the best thing to do is get a screenplay in front of you and watch the film. Watch the film and see how it plays out to the screenplay, see what the director did for their changes and choices, see how they played out, the character development, see how they portrayed everything in the film, see the timing, see where the punchlines came in, and kind of how the audience reflected. And that's honestly the best way to do it. So he's a smart guy. You have to, films that are successful are the best films they're going to be able to teach you. Some guy in film school that's never made a successful film that's teaching you how to make films is not going to teach you as good as watching a Quentin Tarantino or Spielberg or James Cameron movie, because guess what? They made a successful film. And with that successful film, you can learn a lot from it.
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of like,
I agree.
It's kind of like in the job market too. Like you have a kid who has like degrees up the wazoo, and you have somebody who has like 10 years experience, and you need an employee right now to do the job. You know what I mean? Like, what do you pick? I mean, it may be a bad example, but it's kind of similar. Do you pick the person that has a ton of experience, or the person that just, looks good on paper? So it's like one of those things, I think, with film too. But I really, I'm not totally against rules. Like, I think you should learn the fundamentals, like how Bri just said, but and then after you learn the fundamentals, break them. You know what I mean? You have to know the fundamentals to kind of tweak them and play with them. So, but, yeah, I like him, dude. Like, some of my favorite films, I'm probably going to name like every single one he came out with, but, Kill Bill films, really enjoyed them, over the top. Django Unchained, amazing movie. Death Proof was fun. Jackie Brown, love it. From Dusk Till Dawn, hokey, still enjoyed it. Pulp Fiction, one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion.
Yep.
Reservoir Dogs, really impressive with no budget. And Glorious Bastards was fun. So, like, those are some of my favorite films by him. What about you, Bri?
I think you named all of them.
Well, I like them all.
You do. I think the only one you left out, no, I think you got all of them.
Well, it's funny.
I mean, his main films. You got all his main ones.
Yeah.
So this sounds, well, you just named, I'm a big fan. I think I own all of his films.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite?
My favorite out of all his movies?
Yeah.
That's kind of tough, dude, because, like, you have... Okay, it could be an actor that made it my favorite, or it could be the movie as a whole. So, my favorite Tarantino film is probably... Well, can I say my favorite, and can I say the best?
Yes.
Okay. My personal favorite is probably... It's between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
I'm with you.
So
yep.
I'm going to say, and this may shock people because Pulp Fiction's way more polished, but I'm probably going to say Reservoir Dogs is my favorite. Like, and that may shock people, but it really is.
I really like Reservoir Dogs too.
And I think his best film, the most polished, it's going to be between Django and Pulp Fiction. Is very hard to pick, but I'm going to probably say Pulp Fiction is like, cream of the crop film. That's my opinion.
I was going to say, like, I would say Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, all-time classic films. And just the way, like, Pulp Fiction itself, how he tells the story is just so, like you would just say,
it's not linear.
Breaking the rules. Completely breaking the rules.
Yeah. There's no order to it. You piece it together, which keeps you entertained because, like, when you watch it, you're like, okay, like, what the hell just happened? Like, what's this? And then it's genius, man. It's kind of like an abstract film in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I think his two most polished ones, I'd have to say Django and actually Inglourious Bastards, as far as like clean Hollywood level production without kind of like that gritty look that he usually has.
Yeah.
I mean, he still brought it in, so he still brought that Tarantino into play, but I think you can tell he's grown as a filmmaker. You can tell that Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs has kind of like that rough kind of look to it. Whereas, like, Inglourious Bastards and Django is like a more of a polished look.
Mm-hmm. Another interesting Tarantino trademark, or like one of his calling cards, is he'll take actors that are like B and C level, or actors that have been out of the limelight for a while, and he'll just reintroduce them to the public. And I think it's so cool how he does that. It's like, he had Don Johnson in Django. I mean, yep. Don Johnson from Miami Vice, he was like a household name, and he just fell off, and he brings him back for Django. And he's done that multiple times. He always brings like these weird, obscure, actors that were popular, and he just, pushes them in your face again.
Dude, I think he makes the most colorful like characters. You know, like
Yeah, he does.
all the different actors in his film are just like, like Leonardo DiCaprio. I can't remember what his name is in the movie
Uh,
Django.
oh, I forgot. Jeez, I've seen the movie like so many times already.
Me too.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
But he just like, he creates this character, and Leonardo DiCaprio obviously just ran with it. But like this crazy colorful character, and
Hmm.
same thing. Jamie Foxx was good too, but Christopher Waltz, like he used him in Inglourious Bastards, which the guy did amazing in, and then he brought him back for this to do amazing. But he has like these like little character actors that are like like what's your favorite line from the beginning of Django?
Oh, the blueberry one.
Yeah, Blueberry, I gave you my last apple.
I'm not such a bad guy. I gave you my last apple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's he say when he's coming in the dark? Prepare to get winged. Or what?
Oh, yeah, something like that. Prepare
Yeah.
to get winged. That
Yeah.
dude, like, okay, this is one of my like weird abilities that Brian kind of makes fun of me. Like, I remember actors from like old films and their names usually. And that guy, he was in this movie, and I'm not looking this up, but I remember him. He was in a movie with Farrah Fawcett, and he like was like a rapist or something. And he like broke into her house, and she like subdues him and puts him in a fireplace and locks him in there and like sprays his eyes like with like some kind of solvent, and he's all like suffering and throughout the whole movie, and she's like torturing him. And I forgot the name of the movie, but it was like a TV movie, I think. And that's what I mean, like one of them weird actors that like people just forgot about, and he just like brings them in.
And he also like takes actors, like obviously well-known actors, like obviously Leonardo DiCaprio is who I'm talking about in this, and Jamie Foxx is I'd say Leonardo DiCaprio is kind of a level above Jamie Foxx, but and then like in Inglourious Bastards, he takes Brad Pitt and he puts him into like this crazy Quentin Tarantino world, and he makes him in there killing Nazis,
Yeah.
like
Um,
and
Not to cut
he
you
just
off, but sorry.
okay.
Leo's character's name was Calvin Candy
Oh yep,
in Django.
Mr. Candy.
Yeah. No, Leo's brilliant, dude. It's funny that you said that he's better than Jamie Foxx, and Foxx won an Oscar. I'm not sure if Leo won an Oscar. I think he was nominated. He may
Yeah.
have for Wolf of Wall Street. I don't remember, but I would say overall, yes, like he is a more talented actor than Jamie Foxx. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
But like, think about like, so you got Django Unchained, you got Jamie Foxx, and you got, Leonardo DiCaprio. You Death Proof, they bring Kurt Russell back, which Kurt Russell, he hasn't had much going on. Even when they did that movie, he was obviously bigger in the 80s and late 80s, but they brought him back in
90s.
Death Proof. Yeah, like early 90s, right?
Yeah, he had a couple of little films here and there in the late 90s.
But he was cool, they see him in Death Proof, and he takes on this crazy role, and then Uma Thurman, you don't see her as an imposing person, but you have her as, in Kill Bill, just slashing people up like, like a samurai. And Jackie Brown, you got Robert De Niro's in there. Obviously Samuel L. Jackson's in almost a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of his stuff. And Pulp Fiction, they got like Tim Roth is in a lot of his films. And he was kind of big around that time.
Yeah.
When he came out. What was that war movie that he was in?
Tim Roth and Reservoir Dogs, dude. I think he was still relatively unknown in Reservoir Dogs. He was a very young actor.
Yeah. I'm trying to think it was after that movie that he did, that war movie that made him real popular.
I can't remember. I honestly I can't remember him in any other Tarantino films. I may be wrong, but unless if he had like, he was in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
He was the dude in the restaurant, and Samuel L. Jackson was about to lay at the smackdown on him. But yeah,
he played little roles too. I don't know.
Yeah, I just remember him from off the top of my head from Pulp Fiction. But
Yep.
But yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Tarantino, it kind of makes me sad because I think you said he's possibly going to retire soon.
He said, I think 12 films. He said he's going to retire. So he's on his eighth film right now, which is Hateful Eight, which we can touch on that right now if you want. It sounds pretty cool. It's like a Western.
Right?
Yep. It's based on 8 bounty hunters, and they're in a blizzard, and it's based on betrayal and deception. So I'm sure the writing's going to be very good. He actually has Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Tim Roth, Zoe Bell, which is she's the stunt woman that's in Death Proof. She used to be the stunt woman for Xena, Warrior Princess.
Okay.
Michael Madsen is in there.
Yeah.
Bruce Dern, and the other names I don't really recognize. Oh, Walter Goggins, which he's from The Shield, or Walton Goggins.
I like that dude. He's from Predators, and he was on Sons of Anarchy. He's a good actor. Yeah. Interesting dude.
So that one's gonna be coming out. I'm not sure when the release date is. I think they're filming right now, actually.
Kill Bill Volume 3. They're making
is he supposed
another
to come out with one?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Probably. Oh yeah, announced. Yep.
Kill Bill Volume 3. I don't own the Kill Bills, which is like kind of surprising. I mean, I didn't think they were like amazing. Like, you know, they were like throwbacks to like kung fu flicks, which I like the old school kung fu flicks. Five Deadly Venoms.
Did you get the chance to check out From Dusk Till Dawn on the Netflix series?
Nah, dude. Mm-mm.
I watched a couple episodes and it kind of caught my attention. It was pretty interesting. But I guess he wrote all those. He didn't direct them, but he wrote all the Dusk Till Dawn. It's like a mini series that's on Netflix, so you should check it out. I mean, I watched a couple of them. It's got that same feel. It's like, you know, if you're a real big From Dusk Till Dawn fan, it carries on that world. You know,
I'm all about that. Yeah, I'm all about that Salma with the snake.
They didn't bring her back though, unfortunately.
Dude, when I was younger, in that one scene, dude, oh my man, with the python. To do that. Woo, Salma.
They did that in Sin City with Jessica Alba, that same kind of vibe.
Nah,
no, but that's what I was thinking that they were trying to do.
Yeah,
didn't do it for you.
Salma, though, dude. Damn.
Oh, I don't want to forget in Pulp Fiction. You know, you got freaking Bruce Willis. You know, he was a major actor around that time.
Names.
Yep. You know, so he's got 8 actors that just take on, like, you know, the best way to describe it is just characters. Like, he doesn't make normal people. He makes characters. Just, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think what entices these actors to like do these films is that it's going to challenge them because they're like these crazy characters. And it definitely takes them out of their comfort zone. And if they're like worth their salt, like they're going to be like, all right, I want to try that role. So it's cool that they're good sports to actually do those roles. And that's what I think probably happens because they don't have to do these crazy ass roles. Like, does Leo really have to, you know, play that kind of character? No. You know, very controversial character too.
Well, I mean, think about his films. They're all extremely controversial. I mean, like Pulp Fiction has like some guy, Bruce Willis Vince Raines getting sodomized.
Yeah.
You got Inglourious Bastards. You got
the Jewish bear.
The Jewish bear.
Baseball bat to that dude's head.
Yeah, they're like cutting swastikas and Nazis' heads, and then like
Mr. Blonde.
Kill Bill. Yeah, Mr. Blonde cutting off the cop's ear. That's like one of the most gruesome scenes ever, you know.
Cut
and then
my
obviously
fucking ear off.
Yeah, exactly. And then
what do you think I'm doing? Go ahead, dude.
I like that. Yeah.
Cracks me up.
Death Proof. I mean, they push the limits with like
dude, when the tire spoiler
goes over the girl's face.
Oh my god, dude. Turns her face
how about
into roadkill.
The leg go out the window, like the leg sticking out the window. That thing just goes flying.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And then you got Django. Obviously, he pushed the limits on that. And there's like a lot of big things with like, you know, he's a racist and whatever. But I think he just portrayed the way it was. You know, like I think Quentin Tarantino is a little bit of a racist. But you know, if you talk to him in real life, he doesn't have a problem with dropping the N-word. But he portrayed slave owners the way that they were, you know, so you can't discredit it for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think, okay, there was a lot of controversy with Django Unchained, and I think, yes, you have to be true to the dialogue of like, you know, of the times, but I do think he played with it a little too much. I think
he pushed. It
was out there.
There's a lot.
Times. Yeah. You know, But you know what? I admire his bravery because he's just like, F it. Like, I'm just going to do the movie the way I want. And, I mean, he caught a lot of flack. I mean, I don't think he's a racist. I just think he just doesn't give a shit and just does whatever he wants with films.
Yeah, that's true. I think the cool thing too I want to touch on this is I love the fact that he's in most of his films. Like he's always like this tiny little he's like a small character in all of his films.
Yeah.
You know, he makes like a scene
Wasn't he in
like in Reservoir Dogs.
Wasn't he in one of the Desperado films? Because I think him and Robert Rodriguez kind of do like collabos at times. I may be wrong.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He was in a
the
bar,
Desperado film. Yep.
right? Wasn't he in a bar?
Yeah,
and
he was
gets
like
shot up.
Yeah, he's like some random guy.
Yeah.
He was in, he was in Pulp Fiction. He was Mr. Brown in Reservoir Dogs. He played, he was in From Dusk Till Dawn. Obviously he played Richard.
The psycho
Gecko.
pervert.
Yeah, exactly. And he was in his Death Proof film. He was in Inglourious Bastards.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the Nazis that got scalped. He was member in yeah.
Dude, my girl wants to see that
was,
movie. She wants to check out
Inglourious
Bastards. Film. Yeah, I told her, I was like, yeah, I'll watch it again. I saw it once, man, and I didn't think it was as good as his other ones. But Christoph Waltz, is that his name?
No,
he did awesome.
Yeah, he did amazing. He did amazing in that film. He won an Oscar in that one, didn't he? Best Supporting Actor or something like that.
He did, dude.
Yeah,
and he was like, oh my god, dude! I think his performance in Django was even better.
Yeah, it was. He stepped his game up. I can't wait,
in
dude.
In my pocket is a warrant for a Mr. Jim Jones. If you would look at it, you would see. Like, dude, his dialogue was like hilarious, man.
Yeah.
He was a smooth talker.
He was. And,
now you can get the sheriff.
Yes. I tried to. What's the? Can you remember the lines when he was like, "I tried to negotiate with you, but you were not able to negotiate, so I had to do that." I forgot. I forgot what they were.
When he dropped the N-word, it was funny. Like that character, it was just, I don't know, the way he said it was like,
it was so awkward.
Yeah, he awkward. Said it uncomfortable, but I don't know, it was hilarious. And on top of the mountain was Broomhilda. Like, dude, he was great, man. He was awesome.
Yeah, he's the new villain in the Bond movie. The new Bond movie coming out. Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too, dude. Daniel Craig is awesome.
He played, remember the bounty hunter that caught Django at the end? And then he got, not him, I'm saying Quentin Tarantino. At the end when they were like, they were locked, it was the Australian bounty hunter guy.
Yeah. I remember.
Yep. And then Jamie Foxx, bamboozled him.
Yeah.
And shot him.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Tarantino, and like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like he's not for everybody. I mean, I've personally heard hate on him, like as far as like the dialogue, but I think he's brilliant, dude, and he's right up my alley because he pulls no punches, and that's my style. Like I love that, What does he rank up there for you, Bri? Like, is he like within your top 10 directors or top 5?
You'd say top 10, and he might make a run for my top 5. No, I mean, let me see. Spielberg, James Cameron.
He's in my top
Fincher.
5.
Yeah. I would say
he's in mine, dude. He's in mine.
I would say so.
Because for me, like, I have like directors that I really like for what they do. Like, I like Michael Mann. He does like good crime movies. But the main ones that I love are, you just drop some of them. It's going to be Cameron in no specific order, like, who's the best, but it's Cameron, Spielberg, Tarantino's up there, Scorsese's up there. I mean, he's up there. Fincher's great, but I don't know if he's like top 5 for me.
I like all his films.
Yeah.
That's, especially, he just came out with Gone Girl, Fight Club, Seven. Those are some of my favorite films. So.
Dude, he's like a Tarantino minus the humor. He just doesn't give a shit. He just
he's
does
dark.
He's
just dark.
Abstract. Abstract ass movies, but like minus the humor that Tarantino has. They should just do a collaboration and make a sadistic, non-rated movie.
They should. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, imagine those two together, dude. Oh my god. What else you got to say, man, about Tarantino? Anything else?
No, that's about it. I think we covered all of them.
Yeah.
Like you said, what's a favorite scene that you can remember from a Tarantino movie?
A favorite scene? Okay, if I'm not mistaken, it's the one with Christopher Walken, and I think it's in Pulp Fiction when you had the little watch, the pocket watch.
Yep.
Yeah, and he tells the whole story. That's a memorable scene to me. I'm gonna say when Mr. Blonde. I'm not even gonna say spoilers because if you've never seen Reservoir Dogs, man, I don't even respect you. Like go watch Reservoir Dogs. When Mr. Blonde he tortured the cop and cut his ear off. And that was, dude, that was so crazy. Like, I love that scene. And if I can pick one more, probably when the tire crushed that girl's face in Death.
I was gonna say, Death Proof, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what one of my favorite scenes is from Django Unchained? You remember when he's like, they went to the plantation to find the brothers, and one of the brothers got away on the horse, and he's riding away on the horse through the cotton field, and he says, "Is that your brother? You know, that your brother?" He's like, "Are you certain?" And
are you positive?
Or he's like, "Yeah, is that your brother?"
What's positive?
And he says, "Yes." And he's like, "Are you positive?" And he says, "No." He said, "But you said that was his brother." I forgot the line of dialogue, but it was so.
Yeah, he asked,
"What does positive mean?" And he says, "It means yes." Then yes, and then he shoots him, and then like the cotton gets sprayed with blood. That was like one of my favorite scenes.
He was such a nasty shot that and then you see, like, Tarantino's amazing because that was like a little tension building scene because you're like, oh shit, is he gonna get away? And it did two things: it built tension and it showed you how badass of a shot the German guy was. So it's like little things like that like make a movie, man. That gives it like style and he's great, man. It's gonna be a sad day when he retires. That's my opinion on that. So
one more, Inglourious Bastards. You remember like the end of the movie where like the Nazi, they want to let him go, and he says like, I love America, and he's trying to get away so that they don't carve like the swastika on the top of his forehead, and they end up just like doing it anyways.
I don't even remember that scene, dude. I haven't seen that in a while. I gotta rewatch that.
You'll remember it. And Pulp Fiction, like obviously I love the scenes. I love the scene with Samuel L. Jackson when they go into the guy's apartment and they like he's like eats the cheeseburger and he quotes like the Bible.
Yeah.
He's like, "I will rain down with vengeance upon you." That's like, that's a classic scene too.
Yeah, who doesn't know that scene? Like some of the most quote-worthy movies like ever, man. He's ridiculous. He's great. Dude, his role, but like, okay, how about his acting? Well, how would you rate his acting?
Dude, he sucks.
He's very amateur. Yeah, he's bad.
Yeah,
now,
he is.
But is this the genius of Tarantino? Does he do that on purpose? Is he campy and like bad on purpose? Cause it's weird. Well, like,
you ever watch an interview with him? He's kind of got like an annoying voice, anyways. So
with his like lisp.
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, hey, what are we doing here?"
He's very hyper.
Yeah.
No, dude, it's like his acting is like awkward. It's funny though. It makes me laugh.
It is. It's cool though that he sticks himself in all his films though.
Right. All right, man. I got nothing else on Mr. Tarantino. You?
Me either.
I'm Tarantino'd out.
So if you guys like Tarantino, hit us up on our Facebook page. We're big fans. If you send us a clip, send us your favorite clip of any of the Tarantino films that you like. And if you haven't seen any of the ones that we talked about, like me and David said, go all the way back to the beginning. Reservoir Dogs was his first big hit, and it's still one of our top favorite ones. And obviously Pulp Fiction, he followed up right with it. And my other one that I would highly recommend is if you can, put the N-word away, I think that Django Unchained is one that I highly recommend to watch. That's one of my other favorite Tarantino films. And if you want like a campy kind of Kurt Russell classic film, I like Death Proof too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dave?
Like recommendations for like films? I'm gonna say all the ones that I mentioned.
Right.
Like
so that's every film.
Every film.
Dave says every film.
Every film, because they're all similar, like the same style. Like if you like one of his movies, you're gonna like the other ones. Like, so. But what do you think, man? You think we covered enough
good.
of all right.
I think we did. So hit us up on email, newbreedfilmreviews2014 @gmail.com. Paulie, anybody that's listening right now, because Paulie is not a Tarantino fan, and if you use Twitter, what I want you to do is I want you to, @newbreedfilm, I want you to say, Paulie, you're an idiot for not liking Tarantino. Just tweet that to him, please.
Yeah, Paulie's tripping, dude. Like I don't even get Paul's taste. Like sometimes he's like spot on and I agree with him, and other times it's like, dude, what? Like you hate Tarantino? Like what's wrong with you, dude? Like
yeah. So do me a favor, anyone that's listening, if you're a Twitter follower, hit him up on Twitter, and then he's gonna laugh and he's gonna text us and say like, what did you tell people to tell me? So
yeah. And for the people listening, remember the throat tea test. Marry her, get that ring.
Yeah. Bronx Tale, New Age.
Yeah. And if you guys enjoy the podcast, subscribe to whatever podcast, outlet or directory you listen to. We're out there. You'll find us. So I guess the most popular one is iTunes.
Podomatic, and Podomatic would be like our two top ones.
Yes.
All right, Dave. Well, I'm going to bid you adieu, sir, and I'm going to bid you guys adieu, and I'll see you for the next one.
All right. Later, guys.